Hello, and welcome back to the Well-Read Monocle. Today we are turning the pages of Kat Dunn's atmospheric Gothic novel, Hungerstone. Set against the bleak and beautiful backdrop of the late 19th century Peak District, this is a compelling story that explores the dark consequences of repressed desires, toxic marriages, and monstrous awakenings. It is a slow-burn thriller that gradually sheds the strict corset of Victorian etiquette to reveal the feral, bloody nature underneath. Let us examine the plot, characters, and themes of this fascinating book from start to finish. Our story centers on Lady Lenore Crowther. Orphaned at the age of 12 following a horrific carriage accident that killed her parents, Lenore was raised by a cruel and highly critical aunt. This traumatic upbringing taught Lenore a harsh lesson. To survive in the world, she must suppress her emotions, needs, and desires, and instead become a flawless, unbothered master of high society etiquette. She married Henry Crowther, an ambitious Sheffield steel mill owner, in a purely transactional arrangement. Henry needed her aristocratic title to elevate his social standing, and Lenore needed his wealth to secure her safety. 10 years into their marriage, the relationship is entirely loveless, and Lenore has resigned herself to a cold, meticulously controlled existence. The novel begins as the couple leaves London for Nethershore, a decaying ancient estate in the Derbyshire moors. Henry has leased the property to host a grand grouse shooting party, hoping to impress a group of wealthy investors. Lenore is tasked with the monumental job of transforming the rotting, damp-filled house into a suitable venue in just a few weeks. However, their journey is interrupted by a violent storm. On the treacherous moorland roads, they come across a crashed carriage and rescue its sole survivor, a mysterious young woman named Carmilla. Bring her to Nethershore to recuperate. If the name Carmilla sounds familiar, it is a deliberate nod to Sheridan Le Fanu's classic vampire tale, and this Carmilla brings a similarly disruptive, hypnotic energy to the household. From the moment they arrive at the estate, Lenore is plagued by a debilitating illness. She suffers from severe stomach cramps, fatigue, and violent bouts of nausea. Initially, she dismisses it as a female ailment or the stress of managing the unruly estate. But her physical deterioration mirrors the psychological unraveling she experiences as Carmilla inserts herself into Lenore's life. Carmilla is entirely unbothered by societal rules. She is languid, demanding, and fiercely observant. She begins to slowly dismantle Lenore's rigid emotional armor, questioning why Lenore accepts a life devoid of passion or satisfaction. The title of the book refers to a concept Carmilla explains to Lenore. A hungerstone is a rock in a riverbed that only becomes visible during severe droughts, historically used to mark periods of starvation. For Lenore, her entire existence has been a drought, a life starved of affection, truth, and agency. Carmilla forces Lenore to confront her own repressed anger and her unfulfilled hungers. Strange, unsettling events begin to occur around the house. Lenore experiences vivid, terrifying dreams of a woman drinking her blood, and she witnesses her own maid acting completely out of character, bizarrely eating Carmilla's hair in a trance-like state. Yet, despite the unease Carmilla brings, Lenore finds herself increasingly drawn to the woman's intoxicating freedom. The tension in the house escalates with the uninvited arrival of Cora, a younger, naive, and highly privileged friend of Lenore's from London. Cora's presence brings out the stark contrast between her easy, entitled existence and Lenore's constant struggle for control. Furthermore, Lenore begins to suspect that Henry and Cora are having a secret affair. The true turning point of the novel occurs when Lenore accompanies Henry to his factory, the Ajax Works in Sheffield. There, she witnesses the brutal reality of his wealth. During the tour, a grinding stone shatters, horrifically maiming a worker's face. Lenore is deeply shaken, but she later discovers documents in Henry's study proving that he actively conspires to deny compensation to his injured employees and their families. He blames the workers for the accidents to protect his profits, leaving their families destitute and starving. The sheer callousness of Henry's ambition becomes impossible to ignore. Back at Nethershore, Lenore's illness reaches a breaking point. While searching for a remedy in Henry's belongings, she discovers a hidden bag of white powder. Consulting a medical dictionary in the library, the horrifying truth clicks into place. The symptoms of arsenic poisoning precisely match her own. Henry has been slowly and deliberately poisoning her for months, lacing the sugary pastilles he frequently gifts her. His plan is to murder her cleanly, so he can remarry a younger, healthier woman, likely Cora, now that Lenore's aristocratic connections have served their purpose. This revelation shatters the final remnants of Lenore's restraint. The survival instinct that once forced her into submission now demands retaliation. She empties the arsenic and replaces it with harmless icing sugar, ensuring she can maintain the illusion of taking his poisoned gifts. She also gathers the evidence of his factory fraud and writes a letter to a local police inspector, storing it as insurance against him. Lenore's newly awakened monstrous nature fully emerges during a walk on the moors with Cora. When Cora accidentally reveals a diamond necklace, claiming it is from her mother, Lenore recognizes it instantly as a gift Henry had purchased. The affair is confirmed. In the ensuing confrontation, a panicked Cora steps too close to a cliff edge and loses her footing. Lenore catches her by the blouse, holding her over the precipice. For a moment, Lenore holds Cora's life in her hands. But rather than pulling her to safety, she simply lets go. Cora falls to her death, and Lenore feels a chilling lack of guilt, experiencing instead a profound sense of liberation. With the shooting party finally arriving, the stage is set for the climax. Lenore plays the role of the perfect, charming hostess, but she ensures Henry knows his plot has failed. She deliberately eats one of the pastilles in front of him, blowing the white sugar dust into his face, and reveals that she has hidden evidence of his crimes with the police. Henry, cornered and desperate, makes his final move. He secretly sends for doctors from an insane asylum, planning to have Lenore committed for delusions the very next morning, thereby silencing her permanently. He confronts her on the moors during the grouse shoot, miles from the house, demanding she submit to a quiet divorce or face the asylum. But Lenore refuses to be a victim ever again. Fully embracing the predatory appetite Carmilla has nurtured within her, Lenore attacks. When Henry tries to strike her with a rock, she lunges at him with feral strength. In a shocking, visceral climax, Lenore tears into Henry's throat with her own teeth and nails, ripping him apart on the heather. When the other hunters and the police arrive, they find a blood-soaked scene. Lenore, employing her aristocratic poise one last time, calmly blames the gruesome death on Henry's poorly trained, aggressive hunting dogs. The men, blinded by their own assumptions about female fragility, believe her story without question. The novel concludes with Lenore entirely free. She has shed the suffocating confines of Victorian society and her toxic marriage, walking away alongside Carmilla to live deliciously and on her own terms. Hungerstone is a masterful exploration of female rage. It takes the restrictive expectations placed upon Victorian women and twists them into a bloody tale of empowerment. Lenore's journey from a repressed, traumatized victim to an apex predator is both horrifying and immensely satisfying. It forces the reader to consider what happens when the hunger for justice and autonomy is starved for too long. Thank you for tuning in to the Well-Read Monocle. If you enjoyed this summary, please be sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of literature. Until next time, keep reading.